All right, Shalom Israel. First and foremost, as always, I would like to give all praises, honor, glory, respect, and blessings to Yahweh, Basham, Yahweh Shai, Basham, Wakaha, Quadash. Salutations to the Lord's elect on the four corners of the earth, pushing His truth and sincerity, while patiently waiting for Yahweh Shai's return, and double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, which have taught us everything we know through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Basham, Yahweh Shai. And this is going to be a response video to a video that was uploaded by the beloved brother Manak Zakba from South Carolina, as you see right here. Hold on a second. We move this up some. Next out there, okay. The title of this video is called "Read for the Hebrew Israelites." Hashtag grafted in. Hashtag Esau, hashtag Edom. And as always, this brother makes very beautiful videos, very edifying. I wanted to do my response to this video. I'm already like, well, I was actually more than 3 minutes, 38 seconds in. But some videos, I like to rewind just so I can rehear what I already heard. You know, see if I can get a deeper understanding. But you got people out there who do not seem to understand that you got people out there who don't seem to understand that Edomites cannot make it. Okay? Because in order for Edomites to receive salvation, they will have to be grafted in with the Israelites. The Israelites, which are the Negro, Latino, and Native Indians. Okay? If your line does not come from the line of Israel, you cannot receive salvation. You just simply can't. Okay? And you cannot be an Israelite and be grafted. I mean, you cannot be an Edomite and be grafted in with Israel. Now, can you be an Israelite that look like an Edomite, but be grafted into the fold and hopefully be of the elect? The answer is yes. Right? And people oftentimes they don't seem to how's it going? You know, oftentimes people don't seem to understand how grafting works. Okay? Like, take a tree for an example. A apple tree. Okay? You might have you got two separate apple trees, okay? You got an apple tree in your front yard, and you got an apple tree in your backyard. Now, the apple tree in your front yard is dying. Okay? It's losing fruit and it's withering away. So in order to keep it going, you would take a stick from the apple tree that has an apple on it, and you would, you know, and there's YouTube videos on it. You know, you would like cut or trim off like the bottom of the stick with the apple and the leaves on it, and then you would take the apple. You would take like a stick on the apple tree. The apple tree that's dying. It's not completely dying. I mean, it's not completely dead or anything. Still got fruit on it, right? But you would cut off like you would cut off a stick on the apple tree that's dying, and then you would trim the upper part of the stick that was cut off. No, you would trim the stick that's still connected to the tree. You would cut and trim the top of the top of the stick. One moment, I gotta blow my nose. God, get out. Paper towels. Weak. Excuse me. Oh. Okay, I'm back. So then the stick that you had cut it off from the tree, the apple tree in your backyard, right? You would take that stick and you would connect it to the upper part of the stick that's still connected to the tree that's withering away. And then what you would do is you would take some tape and you would tape both the sticks together. Okay? And then, you might give it about, 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. And just like that, you got more fruit growing off of the stick that was cut. And that's where you get grafting from. So you can see grafting is only possible when you got when you got two trees of the same seed or same gene line. But you cannot take a stick from an orange or a pineapple tree and graft it to an apple tree and think that you're going to get more oranges or more apples off of that grafting. It don't work that way. Okay? It don't work that way. Okay? This place is wicked as fuck, man. Warm water lobster tails. You know damn well you ain't supposed to sell that shit. But anyways, that man must have heard me after I said that shit. I don't give a fuck. You ain't supposed to eat that shit, man. Okay? That according to the Holy Scriptures, that food is considered unclean. You're not supposed to eat no fucking lobster. But anyway, no, I stand on 10 toes what I said. Oh, really? They got bodies. Hell yeah. That's what I'm talking about. But anyway, Salakia, I'm at the store here. And give me some food and shit. But okay. Anyways, as I was saying, in other words, you can't take somebody of another nation and try to graft them into our lineage. Okay? You can't what are the words I'm looking for? You can't just say that salvation is for other nations. You can't just bring other nations into the heritage of the Israelites. Because the nations, the people of the other nations cannot be grafted in, man. They just cannot be. Okay? If you're not born an Israelite, you ain't got no chance of salvation. And that's just plain and simple, man. And I don't get what's so hard to understand about that. Let me check these real quick. I'm glad I saw that. You see, and brothers, let me tell you something too. When you buy beef sausages, even though it may say beef sausages, always check the casings. Because it'll say smoked sausage made with beef. But then when you look on the back of the ingredients, right, it'll say pork casing. Hey, Tawada Yahweh Shai for putting the spirit on me to look on the back of the ingredients. Because had I not looked on the back of the ingredients, man, I would have brought pork into my home, man. That's why you always got to look on the back of the ingredients, man. It's beef sausages. It's beef sausages in pork casing. So technically, it's trash. Okay? And the Holy Scriptures tell you that if you even go as far as putting pork in your oven, right? You're supposed to destroy the whole oven. You got to destroy the whole oven and build a new one. Okay? And that's what the Lord said. So, it don't matter if the food is clean. If you put it into pork casing, the whole entire thing is ruined. You can't eat that. But anyways, anyways, as I was, getting into, the other nations cannot be grafted into this, man. Okay? This truth, salvation, is only for the nation of Israel. It's not for any other nation on the planet. Okay? We don't care if you niggas get mad. We don't care if you stomp your feet. You know, we don't care if you roll your eyes. We don't care about none of that shit, man. Look, the Lord said what he said, man. Okay? The Lord made it clear that no other nation is to come to the congregation of the Lord. And the Lord stands on all 10 toes on that. Okay? So for all of these other people who you know want these other nations to make it, look, man, you're not in your for all these other Jakes who want these other nations to make it, you're not in your right mind, man. And if you don't repent, the Lord is going to eradicate you. Because newsflash, the Lord ain't looking for all of the other nations. Okay? When you read all throughout the scriptures, who do you hear? What nation of people do you hear the Lord uttering out of his mouth concerning their condition? Israel, Israel, Israel. You know, Israel did this against me. Israel did that against me. You know, I heard Israel's cries unto me from out of their captivities. You know, Israel this, Israel. So the Lord has always been only concerned with the nation of Israel. And furthermore, the covenant, right? The first covenant was made with the nation of Israel. So, you know, we don't know why, you know, excuse me, Jake is so obsessed you know, we don't know why, you know, Jake is so obsessed with these other nations trying to make it, man. Especially when these other nations don't even give two shits about you. You see? But again, you know, I don't want to make this lesson too long. I pray and hope that this video has been edifying through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashom, Yahweh Shai. With that, I'm going to say shalom. On to the next one.